Alright guys, TacticalRab again, so I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Championship Sunday at HCS London, finally another top 4 matchup as well here in the CDL, but lots of reaction from the OpTic boys to last night's dominating victory against the Miami Heretics. Kenny with a few words to say on the new meta that's just come into the game, the rival changes, the MCW changes. He doesn't necessarily like them, but he does think they actually might even make this OpTic Texas team better than they already were. Very much on Twitter, your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for supporting today's content. If you guys looking to get involved in daily fantasy and all sorts of sports and esports, this is the place to be. We do have some big games, of course, this evening. OpTic play again against the Vegas Legion, final game of the day, as the league, of course, love to do. And the game just before that, of course, with all the higher lower options, as is usually the case, is going to be New York Subliners versus Atlanta FaZe. Big questions on whether New York Subliners can actually deliver the same performance they did against Ravens last night, or at least be competitive against FaZe, because that's not been the case with many teams, especially online against FaZe, in now quite some time. If the higher or lower feature isn't for you, there's also the rivals feature where you effectively pick who's going to get more kills over the course of a few maps. If you guys are looking to get involved, sign up using code RAB to get your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Play responsibly if you choose to, and let's get into the video. It is Sunday at the HCS event in London. Lots to talk about this event, obviously, because Microsoft now runs the show in Call of Duty as well. There's been serious questions as to what the COD scene is going to look like next year, given where Halo currently is. I think I would definitely expect, at least, there to be some situation where the Halo format is transferred to Call of Duty to a certain degree. Hopefully, though, COD stays alive more than Halo does, because it's the classic thing with 343 and with Halo. The game comes out for a year, it's really hyped up for the first few months, then over time it gradually reduces in its interest, and now we get these, this major LAN which kind of looks more like a local LAN. Now, look, Formal made it to Sunday with the OpTic boys. He also said, which I thought was, nice to see, as always is the case, the fan interaction in London is always top tier. Everyone I talked to just seems so genuinely excited. Some good people here, right? So, hear that, COD League, like, let's go back type thing. And I think we will go back to London for COD at some point. I mean, we certainly will. It's a matter of when and who, because there's no London team anymore. So, the league could host champs there. That would be certainly possible. But, there's obviously other things on their menu right now. There's even been talk from the likes of Toronto about potentially running an event, I think, in Spain, potentially, just because they've got the Mad Lions Spanish side of their overactive media kind of arm, shall we say. So there is talk about European events as well coming back at some point. This was pretty interesting, and apparently Frosty has made this relatively well known, and this is maybe why Formal was saying on stream the other day, damn, like that crowd at Major 3 in Toronto was fire. Why am I still playing Halo when I should be playing COD? And apparently Frosty said at the event, and even like in front of his teammates, and I think he's kind of made this relatively clear, that he would be interested in returning to COD. Of course, he played COD for the Florida Mutineers back in the Modern Warfare 19 days. He won a couple of events online that season and was honestly a really good player. Then he was dropped, and then there was the whole, I don't F with you at all tweet that he did to Mutineers, which is still pretty legendary. And then he went back to Halo and has been kind of dominating over there. And Halo will maybe always be there for Frosty, but in many ways, COD is likely to have more sustainability. I mean, look, it's been the case for the last several years. So he's actually implied that a COD return could be possible for him. This is the way things look at that major, so it's pretty much usual suspect in the top 4 to some degree. Synthals got knocked out by OpTic after OpTic went down to losers after losing to FaZe. They will then play FaZe Shopify Rebellion in the winners finals. OpTic plays Space Station, a classic rivalry that is now, in the elimination semi-finals. I will say quickly on Space Station, this is an organization that have made it very clear they are interested in getting into Call of Duty if the time was to potentially come. So we'll see what happens there, but this is how things stand going into the Championship Sunday here in London. But also one final series to mention here from last night. So New York Subliners, they played the Royal Ravens yesterday, and well, it was a messy series arguably from both sides. Very interesting how Ravens are going at the moment, because losing that Game 5 to Gorillas, I said that it was going to be costly. They really needed to win this series as a result. They didn't. They could have done. They dominated the Game 2 search and destroy after losing the Game 1. They 6-0 smoked them. They're honestly really good at this map, Ravens, which is pretty damn impressive. They tied up 1-1, then TJ Halley takes over the game. I've been really impressed by TJ this year. I think this might be his best game in a rather long time. Actually really consistent for TJ standards, and honestly on his day, he's going off, he's dropping numbers, he's slaying out hard, and of course he's got the good search and destroy that we know him for. So very impressed by TJ really, given that he came into this team, it was looking like he was potentially on his last legs as a pro player, and now I think TJ is absolutely definitely making the case that he's going to be in the league next season somewhere. Maybe it's Ravens, maybe it's not. But he drops a 40 bomb in the control. They go up 2-1. But then the issue is that New York have HyDra. And this was the case both hardpoint maps. Both hardpoint maps, basically, HyDra goes double positive and pretty much wins his team the game. It wasn't, just the HyDra show, but it is often just the HyDra show. So he dominates the game for Vista. He goes 32-16. I think he went like 38-16 or whatever it was. Game 1. Like he had a ridiculous game 1 as well. They nearly put Ravens in the 100-point club. And okay, Teach goes from a 40 bomb to a 16 bomb. But, you were getting crushed by HyDra either way there. And then the game 5 happens and Subliners win it, despite the fact that they got crushed in the game 2. I feel like that's such a common trend of a team that like dominates game 2 and then loses game 5 anyway. Like I feel like I see that so often. Obviously it's different maps and stuff, but it still seems to happen relatively regularly. And of course, Clay said the day before, big match against New York, still control our destiny. And Simp says, where did that bring you type thing. So New York get the win. Maybe they're cleaning some things up a little bit here, but a tough defeat again for the Ravens, especially when we look at some of the numbers here in a second. This I thought was interesting though from Kismet. I gotta stop starting slow. Need to get that bulldog mentality back like I had map 4, map 5, head down and grind. And this actually kind of echoes what I've been thinking about Kismet, like even just watching his body language on main stage and, seeing him around and stuff like this. He doesn't seem to quite have that same undeniable confidence that he did towards the end of last season. And this is kind of what he calls the bulldog mentality. So if he can get back there, I think honestly this is how it goes sometimes. Your team starts to underperform, individually you're not playing so well. You start to question, why am I not playing so well? Why can I not get back to this level? What's going on? What have I got to do? And then it kind of checks you out of the game somewhat. So, Kismet's still a talented player, but his performance has obviously haven't been there. And, if you guys are watching the pre-show yesterday, there's some crazy numbers actually where Kismet this season is the #1 search and destroy player online. He has like a 1.37, 1.39 KD online. That's the highest in the entire league. On LAN, he has the 49th highest KD in search and destroy with a 0.79. So, his S&D numbers almost half when he goes to LAN, which is remarkable. And there's got to be more to that than just like playstyle differences. Like that's got to be like a mentality thing as he talks about. But the real talking point here, to be honest, was Gwyn, because for the last couple of days now, Gwyn has dropped back-to-back stinkers. And we don't tend to see this, certainly not online. We don't tend to see this. The Gwyn's having a rough time. Against Gorillas, he had like a 0.7 or whatever it was. Against Ravens or against Subliners, sorry, he has a 0.8. 71 in 90, and this is the thing, Fellow's been turning up and playing well. Clay didn't have a great series here by the KD with a 0.8, but he did still drop the highest damage on his entire team, and not far off the highest damage. Sib had more, and obviously HyDra had more with 111 kills with a 1.4 KD, but, that's still the points that Clay's dropping damage. Gwyn's here at 14,000 damage with a 0.8, right? Like, what's going on there? Because TJ's turned up, Felony's turned up. Clay might not always have the best numbers, but he's still dropping damage every single series. And then when they needed Gwyn to like deliver a takeover map or something, it just didn't happen right. So that's what Gwyn says. He's like, yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening right now. My headspace hasn't been the best, and it's showing in the gameplay. No excuses. I'm playing the worst COD of my life. So, yeah, if there was one time not to play the worst COD of your life, it's in this run to the World Championship. So Gwyn's got to get on top of that quick because they need him bad, right? Like if they don't have Gwyn performing, especially in that SMG role alongside Tej, they're going to have a hard time. And on the current form they're showing, keep losing all these game 5s, they're not going to make it to the World Championship. If Gwyn turns it around, they still most certainly can. It's obviously not over, but it is becoming more challenging by the day. TJ, of course, getting ready for his next chapter, shall we say. And obviously Scrappy had a few words to say for that one. Joey Chestnut is, if you guys aren't aware, the hot dog eating contest guy. So that seems to be what he's going for precisely here. But the OpTic guys, of course, they dominated Miami last night. Big drama as always when Pred plays those guys, shooting bodies, etc, etc. If you guys aren't familiar, it was just when they played in January, Vikul threw up the 3-0 sign, and Pred, that kind of lives rent-free in his head, but in a good way it seems with Pred, because he wants to slam them every single time. Kenny as well in the post-game interview, I thought made some interesting assessments on that, the job's not done. Yeah, they won Major 3, congratulations, well done everyone, but that's in the past now. Now it's about looking forward. Can we win Major 4? But what really is important is winning the World Championship, right? Because OpTic haven't even been in a World Championship Grand Final for 7 years since they won it back in 2017. The best they've done since then was top 3. So this year is obviously a very big one in that domain. But a couple of clips to share. Firstly, Dashy really talking about how they had a moment on this server. I don't think they were on 144 ping the entire time, but they certainly had a moment where they were having ping problems on the server. Didn't really seem to affect them, but also Kenny with a few words on the meta.
Yeah, it was in English. Yeah, it was. They did it in the control because they're like they're not getting
making it for the HP.
No, it was just so funny because like mid-map, fucking someone had who was it? I can't remember who it was. I think we were all on 144 ping, so that's why we were laughing. Who? Like we were all on 144 ping, so that's why we were like people were like, why the fuck we laughing off the map too? It's because like we literally all sat AFK.
It was 5-2 and we were getting like this lag spike that we only get on this one server. So we're like, fuck, we got to camp for like 30 seconds. So we're just in bottom blue tweaking on 144.
Oh my god, that makes
yeah. Feeling great. Obviously took some time off for a bit to like celebrate and relax, but we're back on the grind, so feels good, but the job's not finished.
And we saw Shotzzy at the Founding Fathers Land, saw him alongside Banks and Nadeshot having a blast. It was so fun for us to watch. But were you guys concerned at all that maybe you would slip without getting as much practice as some of the other teams?
No, not really. I feel like I'm the type of guy to be like quality over quantity. So for me, as long as we're going hard in practice, like the days we get, and continue to actually stay on top of like our mistakes and stuff like that, I don't really trip. But I mean, if it was like extra days, maybe, but like I said, I'm quality over quantity. So not a big fan of this meta because I feel like people get some BS kills now. They get some unlucky kills that they probably wouldn't have got before, especially with the 4-shot, like the 4-bullet kill. I think we're kind of still adapting to that because a lot of us, like in a negative way. I think if anything, it's helped us a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like Pred's really enjoying this current battle. Honestly, after watching that series.
There has been some big debate as well on the meta lately, whether it's good, whether it's bad. The changes made to the MCW, to the rival, to the 6-star, of course, with only 4 hardpoints now, no pool hill anymore, and that may hurt OpTic. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the pool hill had kind of grown on me, as had many others, but now it's gone from the game, and Shotzzy was, Sharksy, whatever they call him, was like the best player in the game on that particular hill. So even though I'm sure OpTic will still be good at 6-star hardpoints, they might not be as good as they previously were when Shotzzy was dominating the water hardpoint every single time. But the MCW buff makes things kind of interesting again, because we're back to a 4-bullet MCW. 1 headshot takes you down to a 4-shot kill. I think it should be 2 or 3 headshots takes you down to a 4-shot kill, then players actually would aim for it, rather than just right now you still aim for the body, and if you get a lucky headshot, you get a lucky headshot via flinch or whatever, and then you kill them faster. But what it does mean is that with the MCW being better, players that like to flex, especially when it comes to LAN, we're still seeing the rival is really good. But on LAN, especially maps like Subbase that of course OpTic like to play, and maybe other teams don't like to play them on it, but even Miami played them on it last night, and Toronto seemed to be willing to play them on it, and stuff like this. That is a map where Pred will use the MCW. Instead of running a second sub, he'll be on the MCW, and you'll see with the OpTic team, they will, like to flex that sometimes. Pred will bring out an MCW where possible, and if that gun is better, as Nameless says, then potentially that makes the OpTic team even stronger than they presently are. So the job's obviously not done for OpTic at all. They're looking forwards, but there's a few reasons to believe that they can continue this level of success going into Major 4 and of course the World Championship. They played today as well in a series that I'm not expecting to be especially interesting. Final game of the day against Vegas. The first couple of games though, Surge Minnesota. This one I've got Surge taking. I think they are the stronger team certainly online. We'll see if Rocker's new hardpoint strategy actually works against teams that aren't the Boston Breach. They also play today. So big games here to start off the day in terms of World Championship qualification. Seattle, a victory would nigh on secure it, I think, for them. I think that'd move them to like 150, and that would be, I think you need 170. Like, that's pretty much the number that people say. If you get to 170, you're basically in no matter what. So a great opportunity here for Surge today to get very close to securing that spot. Minnesota, a win would be nice as well. Thieves kind of need it also. They go 2-0 on the weekends. They'll be pretty happy beating Gorillas just about yesterday. And then, of course, if they take down Boston here, Boston, look, they've basically got no chance, but this would be the absolute final chance within reason to make it. Then New York versus FaZe. This is finally another top 4 game. We've been missing them since the major, but I think this might tell us really, is it a top 4 team game, or is it really just, one of the top 2 or one of the top 3 versus the team in no man's land, which is New York? I think the New York can be competitive, and even Kenny implied in his interview yesterday that, yeah, New York are actually pretty good, but it is often HyDra and the boys. So, and FaZe isn't, you know, Simp and the boys. FaZe is Simp, aBeZy, Cell, and Drazah, and the coaching staff. So that's what makes them a pretty scary team. But very much intrigued your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new as always. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy, and I'll see you next time.